everyone, Vegas Film Critic here, Jeffrey K. Howard. Happy Valentine's Day to one and all. Last year I did my top 5 picks for Valentine's Day, and it was very popular. It did really well. So I thought this year I would give you my top 5 picks for 2017. There's a lot to choose from, but understand these are my picks, and I tend to go classic film. I'm sorry if that, if you use something more modern, but just nothing like classic Hollywood and classic romantic movies. So here are my top 5 movies for Valentine's Day. Coming in at number 5 is probably the greatest romance movie of all time, Casablanca. Humphrey Bogart and Ingrid Bergman. Classic World War II story of love. Some of the most famous quotes in movie history came out of there. We'll always have Paris. Here's looking at you, kid. Play it, Sam. All these incredible lines. And just give a little backstory on it real quick. Humphrey Bogart's running this bar, Rick's Place, in Morocco, in French Morocco, and Ingrid Bergman shows up with a freedom fighter, and of course the Nazis have taken over much of Vichy France or French Morocco, and he has a history with Ingrid Bergman. Before the Nazis moved into Paris, they had a love affair, a really good love affair. And of course, now he has all these jealous feelings of her, and she wants these transit papers so she can get her and her French resistant boyfriend, underground boyfriend, out of the country and to America or wherever they want to go. Just an amazing film. If you haven't seen Casablanca, I've shown this movie to so many people, and they absolutely just fall in love with it. And this is a definition of a classic, because here's a movie made in the 1940s that is still just as incredible back then as it is today. Incredible today as it was back then. Yeah, that's right. Okay, I'll give you a modern romantic classic. I have to do that because I know some people say, Jeff, you always give us these black and white films. Give us something in color. Okay, how about Sideways? Sideways stars Paul Giamatti and Thomas Hayden Church. They're best friends. One of his friends is getting married, and as a present, they go a trip through wine country in Santa Barbara. And of course, they meet some women, and Paul Giamatti plays a man who's like an author who's had a really troubled marriage, and he's going through a tough time. So we have two friends who are doing this road trip, and to not only forget about their troubles and also what the future lies ahead, but to bond again because they need this trip. And of course, they're all whinies. They're all wine fanatics. And for someone who doesn't drink, I just watch this movie and I'm like, God, I wish I could love wine, but I have a sweet tooth, so I can't drink wine at all. Amazing story with comedy, romance, and Paul Giamatti and Thomas Hayden Church just have chemistry like you wouldn't believe. Very funny. It's also very adult, a lot of adult language and adult situations, and also a great soundtrack by Rolf Kent. I was just listening to it. Here, just take a listen to the soundtrack real quick, just a little bit. Hope I don't get flagged. Okay, that's enough. Isn't that a great soundtrack? The whole soundtrack is just screams open road and screams best friends, and it's an ultimate road trip movie with romance and comedy thrown into. So go rent, download, video on demand, Sideways for Valentine's Day. Coming at number 3, Audrey Hepburn and Gregory Peck in the classic Roman Holiday. And if you ever saw that movie Trumbull, you know that Dalton Trumbull, who was blacklisted in Hollywood, wrote this screenplay under a different name. He's now been credited on writing the screenplay. It's on the DVD releases and all future releases, but he wrote this in secrecy. So here's a man who's like wanted by the federal government as being a communist sympathizer, writing this incredible romantic comedy. And Audrey Hepburn, this was her breakout role, riding these little scooters all around Rome on these little hair dryers, and she plays a royalty, a princess from a country they don't say, and she's just tired of doing all the pomp and circumstance, doing all these public appearances. She just wants to get away and be among the people. So she runs away while she's in Rome, and Gregory Peck is a journalist who's down on his luck. He needs that big story and saves her from a situation and ends up hanging out with her for a day. She doesn't realize that she is, he's a journalist and he's secretly writing down all kinds of stuff to make this big story. And Eddie Albert's his friend who helps him, make sure that nobody else notices the princess is not where she's supposed to be. Also, they have, what's that thing, The Mouth of Truth? There's this real famous scene, The Mouth of Truth, the stone that's in Rome that, legend has it that it eats the hands or bites the hands off of liars. So there's a great scene in the movie where Gregory Peck sticks his hand in there, and I don't want to tell you what happens because it's really cool. It's really funny. Just remember, it was all improv, and Hepburn had no idea what was going on. Coming in number 2 is one of my all-time favorite films of all time. Can I say that twice? I think I did. The Apartment with Jack Lemmon and Shirley MacLaine. This is more like a Christmas movie because the second half of the movie takes place at Christmas, so I'm kind of conflicted, but it's a great romance story and a great comedy from the great director Billy Wilder, and Jack Lemmon and Shirley MacLaine are just fantastic in this movie. Jack Lemmon is working at an insurance company, and he's getting ahead with his bosses by loaning out his apartment so they can have little trysts with their mistresses. Fred MacMurray plays the ultimate boss who wants to use the apartment so he can cheat on his wife. And, Fred MacMurray's known for his Disney movies, and he's known for My Three Sons, but he was always playing the villain. He also played the heavy. Look at Double Indemnity. But, of course, women, there's stories that women would come up after the apartment and hit him in the chest with their pocketbook because they despise Fred MacMurray so much. But then Disney turned that around with The Shaggy Dog and The Absent-Minded Professor and then My Three Sons on television. So the movie it's a dark comedy because, he's in love with Shirley MacLaine, Jack Lemmon is. And he rides the elevator every day, and she runs the elevator. So no one can get a date with Shirley MacLaine. Every manager, every employee's tried, but he doesn't give up. He really doesn't. And I don't want to give away any spoilers, but once he does get involved with her, things start happening that are really dark and really heavy. But you know what? It's just the great Billy Wilder. Such great dialogue. The Apartment. If you haven't seen it, do yourself a favor and watch it this Valentine's Day. All right, the number 1 pick for Valentine's Day, I know it's another classic film, Singin' in the Rain, because we're celebrating the 70th anniversary of the film, and Gene Kelly and Debbie Reynolds, who we just lost, that's another reason why I'm doing this. You got to see her at 19 years old, staying toe-to-toe with Gene Kelly and Donald O'Connor. It all takes place when Hollywood was changing over from silent film to sound, and she's a dancer, and Gene Kelly works at the studio, and so does Donald O'Connor, and it's about the transition of sound coming into all these films, and they have to make musicals. So she's the dancer, she's a singer, so it's all about this whirlwind romance, great soundtrack with Singing in the Rain, and with there's so many great songs. I don't want to sit here and bore you with everything. And there's so many great stories behind Singing in the Rain too. I think they just showed it on the big screen, so I do a lot of trivia about the movie if you look here on my Turner Classic Movies playlist, so check that out. But if you haven't seen Singing in the Rain, it's considered one of the greatest musicals of all time. I wholeheartedly agree. It is just it just puts a smile on your face, and it's also great for families too. It's also great if you want to just have just a movie where you don't have to really worry about, and it just entertains the hell out of you. It really does. So check out Singing in the Rain. That's my number 1 pick for Valentine's Day this year. All right, for more reviews and interviews, just surf on over to my website at vegasfilmcritic.com. Also, if you like what you see, please comment below, share, subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by Memorial Day. And if I do, great things happen to my YouTube channel, I found out. So I greatly appreciate if you would subscribe. I'm Jeffrey Howard. Happy Valentine's Day. I'll see you next time.